Looking for the best QLED TVs to suit your needs? In this video, we're diving into some of the top options available right now. Before we begin, don't forget to check out the links in the description to find the best deals within your budget. Let's get Number 1. Sony BRAVIA 9. The Sony BRAVIA 9 is the best QLED TV on the market. Its superb SDR brightness means it easily overcomes glare from the brightest indirect light sources, so as long as you don't have a lamp or window facing the screen, you aren't distracted by reflections on your TV screen. As impressive as this TV is in a bright room, it's also spectacular for use in a dark room. Its black levels aren't quite as good as an OLED, but it still has exceptional contrast that delivers incredibly deep, bold blacks for an LED TV, with essentially no haloing. It's also a great option for 4K Blu-ray collectors or those looking to get the most out of high-quality streaming services due to its support for Dolby Vision and DTS audio formats. The TV's image processing is excellent, so low-quality and low-resolution content looks as good as it can. It's also very accurate in both SDR and HDR, delivering an image that respects the content creator's intent. Although its viewing angle is wider than most other QLEDs, it's still not good enough for wide seating arrangements, as its image quality degrades as you move off-center. The TV has HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, 4K at 120Hz, and VRR, but there's noticeable motion blur in faster games, and it has higher input lag than competing models from other brands. You still get a solid gaming experience on this model, but it's not quite at the level of other high-end TVs on the market. Number 2. Samsung S95F OLED. Although this article mainly focuses on LED TVs that utilize a quantum dot layer, you might be hoping that there's an OLED TV that utilizes the color boosting technology, and that's exactly what the Samsung S95F OLED does. This model is the best of both worlds, as you get the vibrant, punchy colors that a QLED provides, combined with the perfect black levels you get with an OLED model. When you add that to the TV's amazing HDR brightness, you get a model that provides a very impactful and high-end HDR experience in a dark room. What's unique about this QD OLED is its matte screen coating, which does an exceptional job of nearly eliminating reflections on the screen, making it a great TV to use in a bright room, too. This TV certainly offers standout picture quality, even when compared to the Sony BRAVIA 9. Unfortunately, its low-quality content smoothing isn't as good as the Sony, and it doesn't support Dolby Vision or DTS audio pass-through, making it a bit less interesting for die-hard home theater fans. Thankfully, it has a much wider viewing angle than the Sony, so it's the TV to get for a wide seating arrangement. Like the Sony, it supports VRR technology to minimize tearing in games, and it supports up to 4K at 165Hz on all 4 of its HDMI ports. It has the nearly instantaneous pixel response times that OLEDs are known for, which leads to clearer motion than any of the QLEDs on this list. It also has less input lag than the Sony, so it's a better choice for competitive gamers. Number 3. TCL QM8K. No TV in this article really compares to the Samsung S95F OLED, since the TV is one of the few OLEDs on the market that utilize a quantum dot layer, and the rest of our picks are focused on purely QLED models. If you don't need an OLED and like what the Sony BRAVIA 9 offers, but you can't justify paying the Sony premium, go with the TCL QM8K. It's not quite as bright in SDR as the Sony, but it's still bright enough to overcome glare from indirect lighting. Just like the Sony, mirror-like reflections are visible on the screen, so avoid placing any light sources facing the screen. The TV's blacks are just as deep, albeit with a tiny bit more haloing around subtitles and highlights. Colors are equally as vibrant, but they aren't nearly as accurate, so you need to get the TV calibrated if you want the very best color accuracy. The QM8K offers Dolby Vision, HDR10+, and DTS audio pass-through, so movie fans are completely covered in terms of formats. It has good processing overall, but it's not as good at upscaling, so you don't get the refined image you do on the Sony when watching low-resolution content. Sadly, its viewing angle is even narrower than the Sony's, so stay centered to the screen for the best image quality. Fortunately, the TV has better gaming performance than the Sony. It has 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, 4K at 144Hz, 1080p at 288Hz, and VRR. Not only does it offer higher refresh rates, but there's less motion blur on this TV, so motion in faster games looks crisper. Input lag is also a lot lower, so it offers a more responsive feel while gaming. Number 4. TCL QM7K. If the TCL QM8K is out of your price range, but you still want a TV that offers solid image quality and a ton of features, you can go with the cheaper TCL QM7K and still get a great TV overall. It offers the exact same gaming features as the more expensive TCL model, so you still get two HDMI 2.1 ports, support for 4K at 144Hz, 1080p at 288Hz, and VRR, so it's a great choice for both console and PC gamers. It also supports both HDR10+ and Dolby Vision, so you're set no matter which HDR format your content uses, and it passes through DTS audio, which is great for Blu-ray collectors. Its image processing isn't quite as good, so low resolution looks a bit softer, and there are more details lost in low bitrate content, but its overall processing certainly isn't bad. Even though its overall image quality isn't quite at the same level as the QM8K, it's surprisingly close. While it's a bit dimmer than TCL's higher-end model, it's still bright enough to handle glare in well-lit rooms. As long as you don't place the screen directly in front of any light sources, reflections aren't an issue. Black levels aren't quite as good, but blacks still look bold and impressive, especially in darker environments, though there's a bit more haloing around highlights and subtitles. The TV isn't as bright as the QM8K in HDR, but it still delivers bright highlights that stand out well enough for an impactful HDR experience, especially when paired with its vibrant colors. Like the QM8K, its viewing angle is relatively narrow, so it's best to sit directly in front of the screen for the best experience. Number 5. TCL QM6K. If you like the features of the TCL QM7K but need something more budget-friendly, the TCL QM6K is the best budget option. It doesn't use a full-fledged quantum dot layer like the other models on our list, but colors still look vibrant enough that the image doesn't look dull or lifeless. Blacks aren't as bold, but since the TV has local dimming, blacks are still deep enough to give solid depth to the image, especially in a dark room. However, there's visible haloing, which means the area around highlights and subtitles glows, which causes them to bleed into surrounding blacks. The TV's handling of direct reflections is bad, but if you don't place any light sources opposite the screen, it's more than bright enough to overcome glare in a room with the overhead lights on. However, its lower HDR brightness means highlights don't stand out as much as they should in HDR content, but it still provides a decent HDR experience overall. As with other TCL models, the viewing angle is on the narrow side, so sitting directly in front of the screen will give you the best image quality. It has worse image processing than the QM7K, so low bitrate content is noisy, and there's a lack of fine details in low-resolution content. Luckily, you still get the same core gaming features found in its more expensive counterparts, as it still has two HDMI 2.1 ports, support for 4K at 144Hz, 1080p at 288Hz, and VRR. For movie fans, you still get Dolby Vision, HDR10+, and DTS audio pass-through, which is great for a budget model.